Well, hi folks, this is Darren with My RV Works. It's a sunny day today, so my glasses have turned dark on me, and we're going to work a little bit on this pop-up camper. Now, if you've seen our playlist, our employee Trisha and her husband Sid, they've bought an RV, so hang out with us for a while and then you end up buying RVs, I guess. But anyway, at the beginning of this playlist, if you go to our playlist section, you'll see, I think we're going to call it Poppy's playlist. I don't know, that just sounds kind of fun. But we're going to be doing several things to this pop-up camper. So in the first couple videos, we did a walk around with it, did some inspections and found some things that were right and found some things that were wrong. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to work on this breakaway cable. It's all tangled up, but we're going to install this breakaway. Okay, and I figured I've got a video on doing one of these already, but let's do another video, maybe update it a little bit, and show you some of my best practices when I put these things on. Also, when we did that interview, we did the interview, but we also did the inspection, we found there was a lot of things wrong with the battery, the way the battery wires were, and so I've already made those repairs, and now I'm at the point where I'm going to tie in the breakaway. And so what I'll do is I'll take my camera, which is my phone, and I'll show you what I've done so far, and maybe talk you through some of the things as I've progressed through it, and then we'll kind of pick up where I put this breakaway in. So that's the nature of the video, so hope you're looking forward to this kind of stuff. And throughout the thing, I'll give you some of my best practices if I know any good dad jokes. I did learn a new dad joke, and I thought this one was good. So what do you call a hippie's wife? Mississippi. Aha! As a Louisiana boy, I appreciate my neighbors down there, so if you're in Mississippi, I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times, but I've never heard that one. What do you call a hippie's wife? Mississippi. So let me dismount you and bring you over, and I'll try to go steady cam and show you what I've done on the battery with the battery connections. I put an inline fuse in it because it did not have an inline fuse, and we'll talk a little bit about that, and then I'll bring you up to where we are. So dismounting and moving you over here. All right, let's do that. Okay, so if you've watched the, what do we call that, the inspection video, you'll notice that, boy, these cables here look a lot different than what they had before. And so I'll tell you what I did. And let me pan over here real slowly. I wanted to get good cables, so I took a piece of shore cord, 50 amp shore cord, and in that 50 amp, I think it had number 8. And so I skinned it, okay? So you'll see a green and a white. And I pulled the red and black out of that, and that's what these are. It's SO cord wrapped inside that thing. So I cleaned them up, put some eyelets on them. The ones that are going to go to the battery, I wanted them to be a little bit beefier because, you know, you're going to be changing your battery out. So I wanted there to be some cables that would be easy to flex. I just wanted one red, one black, and I'll make my connections later. I've come across RVs where you'll have like 3 or 4 or 5 wires underneath each lug, and that just makes it complicated. So let's just try to keep this simple. And so then I put them into some loom. I've just put the tie wrap here. I'm not ready to go live with it yet, but you see I've got enough slack to maybe put a little bit of a service loop in the battery to service it. Then they go into some loom, and then the loom comes down here. Now, right up in there, you'll see that 5/16 bolt going through with that little, I don't know what those washers are called, the kind that cut into the paint. The other side of that angle, I've taken my grinder and grinded back into the metal, okay? And so that is a bonded connection there, and that's torqued pretty tight. I put a nylon nut on the other side, and we're going into bare metal. So that is my ground. I'm grounding my frame from my battery. So my negative post from my battery basically goes from this black wire all the way down to that. So that makes anything metal on this RV that is touching that lug, which is welded to the frame, that makes everything a path back to the battery. Now right here, I've added a 30 amp inline fuse. This is the kind that's going to reset itself. They did not have a fuse on the original, and I like the idea of there being a fuse between this very powerful battery bank and the rest of the world. So I did put a fuse in there. It's a kind that resets itself, and it's got this little hood on. When I'm done, I'm going to put some dielectric grease on everything. And then here I've got a 10 gauge wire. So here we have all that. Then we've got a 10 gauge wire. And let me grab him again. He's just going to come back here. And then these are the wires. Let me spin you upside down. These are the wires that go inside the frame. When we connect our 7-way, And so this black wire, let's take a look at that one. Now you see where they had that little clamp on tap, it nicked into the insulation. That's why a lot of folks say they don't like those kinds, is because it nicks the wire, and there you see that. So I've skinned it back, got back to some good bare conductor. My red wire down below there, that's going to tie into this. This black wire is going to go all the way to the battery charger converter, and it's also at the battery charger converter where our 7-way pigtail is going to tie into it. So this wire here should be hot all the time. It's a home run to the battery, it's a home run to the converter, it's a home run to the truck tap, the 7-way. Okay, so that is to say, if I'm connected to my tow vehicle, then this battery, then this wire should be hot, and I could slowly trickle charge my battery from the power coming from the truck. If my RV is connected to shore power, then I'm going to be charging my battery through the converter, through this wire. Okay, so, and then that's this wire here. So our red wire here, so that is to say, if I were to plug in this RV right now, then I would get 12 volts on this wire right here. Why? Because I'm going through my converter. If I were to disconnect the RV from shore power and plug it into my tow vehicle, well, then I should have 12 volts on this wire right here. Okay, so how do I get to the battery? I'm going to tap my red wire to it, making a continuous connection all the way through. Wonderful. This blue wire, this is my brake wire. This is also the one that goes inside the frame. Now, another thing I did a little earlier, this was that original white wire from the when we did the inspection, and you look a little close, I've gotten back to the bare metal, and between that lug and the bare metal, I've got another one of those little star washers right down there. There's a whole selection of them down there, those kinds of things. Cleaned up my metal, put my lug on there again, put in a new screw, and I didn't like that they had a nick in the white wire just like they do on this black wire. So when I was at it, I put some heat shrink around this to protect that wire again. So this is the negative coming from the tow vehicle and also going back to the charge converter, bonded to the frame, just like the other side. So this blue wire here, this is the one that's going to feed my brakes. Now, originally, they had, I'm digging for it, they had this Breakaway. Okay, the Breakaway is in bad shape. The Breakaway is tied into all these chains, and you never want, I see a lot of people doing this, and I'm telling you guys it's wrong. You never want your Breakaway wire entangled or enmeshed or anything in the chains. It needs to be its own standalone, separate from all this, standalone home run from the trailer to your tow vehicle. Okay, also, now this one was loose. They had it, they had this connected right here. So this, I don't have a problem with that. But what I prefer is I'm going to put the new one here on the side. Now I've already tapped my hole. If you look in there, you'll see that I've got a 1/4-20 tap, and that's just a simple, here, I'll pan you back over here, you know, the little tap and die set. There's the thing, and the box below it is all the taps. So you just tap, get some cutting oil, and you tap your threads, and I've got a nice 1/4-20 nut, and then, where is it? It's right here. I will be putting some blue thread locker on my thread, connecting my Breakaway with the blue thread locker in that thread. You do not want this screw to be tight to where is it? Let me reach for it. You want this to be snug, but you don't want to bear down tight on it. You want this to be able to move. And the reason you want this to be able to move is, let's say that this trailer gets itself in a strange orientation and you've got this thing bounded down right here, and you want this red, in my instance, it's a red coil, you want it to pull straight out, but maybe it needs to be pulled out that way or this way. Okay, so you want this to be snug but not super tight. So I'm going to go with tapping my threads, and I'm going to put some blue thread locker on there, and that's going to hold this in place. You'll see me do all that. I'm just talking through it before I actually get the work done. So out of this Breakaway, you have right there 2 wires. I'll call this wire 1, I'll call this wire 2. Inside of this thing, when you pull the pin, it makes a connection. Okay, so we understand how that works now. Up here, we've established that this wire is 12 volts hot all times, and this one goes to our brake. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put that switch between these two. As long as my pin is connected into my breakaway, it keeps these separate. If the pin gets pulled out, then it connects these two. And therefore, I'm sending 12 volts, straight 12 volts directly to my brakes, locking up the brakes on the trailer. Okay? So that's how this circuit works. And here you see one of the old, this is some of the old stuff that we had before. Okay, so we've cut all this off. We're done with this old breakaway cable. Another thing I want to point out is if you look right in there, you'll see how this one was starting to show some fatigue. So a best practice that I do, folks, is when I put my breakaway on, I'm going to be using some quick disconnect connection terminals here, so that right now our breakaway cable down there is brand new, but over a couple of years it might need to be replaced, and I want to make that easy for the next person. So they'll have to overcome the blue thread locker on the quarter 20 here, take the old one out, put the new one in, strip off their long wires, put on the male or female terminals, and then reconnect. Okay, so I'm not going to make this a hard and fast connection, kind of like I did, I don't have one here. This will be a butt splice, a heat shrink butt splice, but I'm going to have a pigtail coming out of it that's got one of those quick disconnect terminals. So enough speaking, let's get busy, and I'll set you guys up. You can watch how I do this. All right, here we go. Okay folks, so I've got you set up on two different cameras for two different angles, and we'll just switch between the two. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my breakaway, and I'm going to take my quarter 20 bolt, and I'm going to add a drop of blue thread locker on it. It's always good to shake these things before you use them. And when you order these, they're never going to be totally full because they expand when they get exposed to oxygen, so they're going to have a little bit of, or maybe a lot of an air gap on the top of these cans. So let's get a Phillips. There we go. So I got some blue thread locker on my bolt here, on my nut. I'm gonna put it through there, and I am just gonna screw the breakaway to my trailer. And I want it to be kind of snug. Yep, but I want to be able to move it a little bit, just like that, okay? Just like that, but once that blue thread locker locks in, it's gonna hold it. It's gonna allow me to move, but the bolt won't roll out. You have to mechanically work it out. Okay, so we're done with that. That leaves me with two wires. Now I'm gonna come underneath. When I'm done, I'm gonna put all of these in a loom, which I have in the white box over there. I don't know if you can see it. So what I'm gonna do, we're done with that. I want my blue here to have a quick connect terminal on it. So let's skin that off. Okay, and let's see here. Let's go with, I like blue. I need a blue male and a blue female here. There we go. I got a blue male, blue female. All right, so I want this one. Polarity on these switches does not matter. Let me get them in there. It's a switch. All we're doing is connecting. So there's no way to wire them wrong. So there we go. Okay. Now on my terminals, on my crimp tool, you're going to see one says insulated, one says non-insulated. So we're going to go with the insulated. We're going to squeeze that. Okay, we're good. And then I will take the heat gun, heat it up. So when I make my connection ultimately, then this should be more of a watertight, and we can put some dielectric grease in the connection. But if we need to make another, it's getting hot. If we need to make another connection on this at a later date to replace our breakaway cable, it's just going to be a quick little disconnect. All right. Okay, so there's that one. And we can take one of these, and now all this here will be in loom as well. So I'm just gonna dress this up a little bit, and let's go with about, all of it's gonna be in loom, remember. So I'm gonna take this guy right here, cut that guy off, we're done with him. And then I will take the second half of our quick connect. He's in. Crimp on the insulated side, heat shrink that. Okay, I'm gonna let that cool. And then what I want to do, this is going to be yellow. Okay, oh, I got one right there. Okay, so I will put a yellow one on this. This is a 10 gauge wire, but I see I've got a little bit of a nick in this black wire that I showed you guys a few minutes ago. So I'm going to put my yellow on there. I'm going to do my 2 pigtails on this side. Then I'm going to slide a longer heat shrink over everything to cover that nick right there. I could shorten the wire, but I just don't want to do that. Okay, there's that. This is the black wire that I cut off just a minute ago. So let me get some, let's see here. I think I'm going to go with this one. Okay, so this is heat shrink. I'm just putting them down range there. And so let's put this in there. Okay, we got a good seat there. So there's a socket, and I got both wires deep inside that, and I like how that's looking. So, okay, so now we'll heat shrink that into place. And I'm going to come down here. So this heat shrink I want to put on because I want to protect the whole wire. I might even go that far with it. So this is going to be another heat shrink over that one just to protect this wire here. And again, I'm going to put all of this in a loom to protect it even again. What we don't want is these wires to be damaged any more than they already were. So we're just keeping road spray and all that out of them. Okay. Now we're going to take this one. This is the pigtail I was talking about. That's going to tap off and feed the battery, the breakaway. So I want that one to also be a female. Okay, so let's get it on there, right there. Good. So guys, the reason I'm using this heat shrink seals is because you may have seen how nasty the other ones were. Once they get exposed to a lot of sun, road spray, salt, all that kind of stuff, any terminal that's going to be exposed to that should be this heat shrink kind, so you don't get any corrosion. We've done quite a few service calls where the terminals have failed. Okay. So this guy's going to be a little cooled down now. So we're going to come around and connect him into there. Good. And I can shrink that. And then this other one, we're going to come around here. I'm just trying to visualize my loom. Okay, so we're going to come right there. And I'll just pull him out on this side. I got my length established. This one's going to be a male spade terminal. No whiskers, please. Let's put them in there. There we go. Okay. And then we are going to crimp. Very nice. Okay. All right, now let's get some loom over here. And Okay, we got a box of loom. Let's see. Box of loom's getting kind of low. There we go. And so I want to be able to come from here to here. So I'm going to purposely cut this just a little long. And I might go with a next size up. What I want to see is, can I get all these into one? I might need to go get my next size up of loom. And I don't have it with me, because this is what I was using for those wires up by the battery. Yeah, I'm going to get my next size up of loom, and that'll make it better. So let's make this connection here, and there we go. And then, but let me heat shrink these. In hindsight, I probably could have crimped all these and then heat shrink this one time. So, oh well. So again, why am I doing this? Why didn't I just do a hard tap into the wire? Well, because from my experience, these breakaways, after a couple of years, need to be replaced. So I want this to be able to be something that can be quickly disconnected and a new one put on. Okay? That's why. Okay, now we're happy with that. These come together nicely. I'm going to put everything in loom. I'll have a little baby loom come out of here, which I should be able to do that with this. And then this, yep. Okay, so we're going to put our little loom right here. And then it'll join the bigger loom. And again, protecting our wires, right? So we're gonna keep him like that. I'm gonna get some electrical tape to tape the ends. Okay. Taping the ends just keeps the loom from falling off again. Peeling out, I guess. If you do a lot of work with loom, they do have those little, they're usually orange, these little zipper things that you can put all your wires in and just kind of pull it like a zipper. It's really cool. I'm glad I discovered those. So I've got all the different sizes. So when we work on RVs and we're doing a lot of work with loom, it just makes it really nice to zip those. In fact, what I might do, I'm going to be stepping away here in a second to get my next size bigger loom, and I'll bring one or two and just show you what I'm talking about. I didn't know they existed, and I haven't been in the RV trade my whole career, but I've been in the industrial trade for most of my career and never saw them. So there, we've got this little loom is going to go under, and then I'm going to get the next bigger size loom to go from here to here, and then we'll protect everything. Okay, so I'm going to do some magic editing, and we'll be right back in a second. Okay, I went and got my bigger loom, and I'm going to go a little bit longer. And oh shoot, you know what I forgot? I told you guys I was going to get those little zipper things, and I forgot all about it. Sorry. Know that they exist. On our Amazon affiliate store, you can find them there. I'm pretty sure. Hey, if you guys go to that Amazon affiliate store, you'll find some dead links. We've got some of our viewers letting us know there's some dead links. Thanks for that. We're going to try to find a day in the office to kind of go through all those links and update them. But if you come across a dead link, let us know, man. It helps us to, we're just a small crew here trying to put everything together. Okay, so then I want that loom to join in with this one. Okay, so he's going to be cut about right there. You're going to watch me fight this, aren't you? There, come on, you got a little curl in you. There it is. Okay. So then I will get this little pigtail to tape up right there. Okay. So, put a little tape on here to keep them honest. Also, this is a new series we've started. Let us know if you like seeing me working on these kinds of projects. If you do, well, guess what? I got a yard full of RVs. They're like, I guess, puppy dogs. They just keep finding their way home. People actually give them to us, some of them. And so we've got some that folks have just given us and gifted to us because they knew that it needed work and they didn't want to put that effort or that money into it. And my attitude is I could either go talk to a therapist or work on an RV. So I enjoy working on these things. Okay, so now I'm going to put some straps. Now I do need to be careful when I put my straps in because this wire goes through this tube. So I'll be putting straps on the top all the way down. Okay. Digging for the straps. I guess I could have had this ready. Let's see here. Let's go with this guy's a nice one. Okay. Yeah, we like him. Okay, so let's get a couple more. Where are they? Tell you what, these are all mixed up because the box fell, and they're not in any, they're just all randomly in here. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let me stop. I'm going to be digging around trying to find these straps, and I'm going to strap this up, and when I'm done, I'll show you the finished product. How's that? Sound like a deal? There's just no reason you watch me dig for these straps and putting them in. So let me get that done, and we'll circle back and pick you up on the other side. Okay, so I put my straps on. I went with the plastic ones. I couldn't find the metal ones. And also, I went and grabbed these things. So these are the things I'm talking about. You take your loom. It's a little bit out of reach, but I think you get the idea. I'll pick the big one. So you would put your wire in here, rotate it, so now your wire comes sticking out, and then your loom comes here, and then you just pull it like a zipper, and it feeds the wire into the loom nicely. So these are really great. I love them. I've got the different sizes for the different looms when you have a lot of wires. So I wanted to share that with you. You could find these on our Amazon store, and maybe down in the description we'll make a link to these. So if you're working with a loom, these are great. I might cut a little bit more of this off when we're done. It looks like it's bunching up a little bit. So here I could bring you around and show you this side. You saw the battery, you saw the fuse. Here comes all my wire bundled up in here. Here's the breakaway coming up here, and then it goes into the frame to all the different places that it goes. So I think, let me show you on this side what we got going on here, and then I think that'll finish up this video. So I'm going to bring you over here and show you this. Okay, so here we have the screw. It's got the thread locker in it. It's snug, but it'll move. Okay, and then here is the coil. This clips onto the tow vehicle directly. Okay, so this, let me back up a bit. This would go directly to the tow vehicle, not embedded in with the chains, not connected to the ball, not connected to the receiver, but you want this directly on the tow vehicle. Okay, and what I can do is show you on my truck. My truck's just over there. I'll show you how I connect mine. And so there you go. So we've got one of these wires here is hot all the time. The other one will go hot if the pin is pulled, and that will energize the blue wire, locking up the brakes. So let me walk you over to my service truck. Okay, so here I have my service vehicle trailer. If this pin should fall out, then the whole receiver falls out, doesn't it? Or if my ball, which is down in there, if that nut should be compromised, then my whole ball gets compromised. Okay, so then we want over here on this receiver rack, I put this is what I attach my breakaway on. Okay, there's one more thing I want to show you. So I did a video on me installing this breakaway cable maybe about 2 years ago, and you can see how it's all rusted. The connections are still good. I've still got my good wire going underneath, just like before. But you see that it's all rusted. These things get corroded, and that right there, folks, is why I do that quick connect on them so that they can be replaced. Okay folks, so that's really wanted to show you. This will be added to the Poppy's playlist. I'll go through and try to remember to add some of these things to our list. But if this was helpful, if this is helpful in any way, if you want to share it with your friends, hey, you can give us a thumb up, you can like, subscribe, all those things that people do when they watch YouTube to help us creators out to make better content, and give us some feedback. If you want to see more on Zippy, let us know that you like seeing me do some of these projects. I will be doing a lot on this RV, and so let me know if that's something that adds value to you or if I'm just wasting everybody's time. And of course, we'll be watching the metadata to see how much people enjoy this kind of stuff. So, all right, I'm going to sign off and get some other things done around here. So thanks for watching. See you on the next video. Bye.